I spent weeks researching 25 of the most popular passive income ideas, and some of them could genuinely help build long-term wealth. Others? Well, they looked brilliant on the internet until I dug a little deeper. Because we're all being sold the same dream: make money while you sleep, escape the 9 to 5, build something once, then sit on a beach while money magically appears in your bank account. Lovely idea. There's just one small problem. Passive income almost never starts out passive. Most wealth vehicles require something from you first: money, time, skill, patience, and sometimes all four. So rather than simply making another list of supposedly amazing passive income ideas, I wanted to investigate them properly. I built a framework that allows us to judge completely different opportunities using the same criteria. We look at startup cost, how quickly the opportunity could realistically produce income, how scalable it is, how easily it can eventually be automated, how resilient it might be to technological change, the level of risk involved, and, perhaps most importantly, whether it can genuinely give you more control over your time. Combine all of that, and we get what I'm calling the wealth score. And here's where things started getting interesting, because one of the biggest mistakes people make with passive income is assuming all opportunities are roughly equal. They're not even close. The internet has also developed a rather generous definition of the word passive. Apparently, if you can operate a business while wearing shorts, it's passive income. Unfortunately, many so-called passive businesses are really full-time jobs wearing sunglasses. So, I wanted to separate flexibility from genuine passivity, because they're very different things, and confusing the two can cost you years. Let's take dropshipping. On paper, it sounds wonderful. You don't manufacture the products, you don't necessarily hold the inventory. Customers order online, suppliers fulfill those orders, and somewhere in the middle, you make money. Except, of course, customers have to find you first. Then there are advertising costs, customer service, returns, supplier problems, competition, changing products, changing platforms, and occasionally a customer wondering why the lamp they ordered 3 weeks ago appears to be touring Europe. Can dropshipping work? Absolutely. But it's nowhere near as passive as social media sometimes makes it appear. Its advantages are clear. Startup costs can be relatively low, and a successful store can scale. But automation and long-term stability are much less certain. Barry gave dropshipping 10 out of 10 because clicking buttons looked easy. Barry clearly didn't read the instructions. Then we looked at print on demand. Again, the basic idea is attractive. Create a design, put it on a product. Someone else prints it, ships it, and handles much of the fulfillment. But the difficult part isn't printing the shirt, it's getting somebody to want the shirt. Successful print-on-demand businesses often depend on continually finding good designs, understanding trends, marketing effectively, and attracting new customers. Startup costs can be impressively low, but competition is high, trends change quickly, and sales can be unpredictable. Barry's solution was motivational socks. Unfortunately, Barry was also the only customer. Then there's blogging. Now, blogging is interesting because it really can develop into something much more passive. A useful article can attract visitors for months or even years. Those visitors can generate advertising income, affiliate commissions, product sales, or leads. But there's a catch. Getting there usually requires patience. A lot of patience. Months, sometimes years, of publishing useful material before the machine really begins working. And by this point in the investigation, a pattern was becoming difficult to ignore. The more passive an opportunity looked on social media, the less passive it often became when you examined what was happening underneath. It's a bit like an iceberg. Above the water, you see the income. Underneath, research, marketing, systems, customer acquisition, capital, maintenance, mistakes, and probably several cups of coffee nobody mentioned in the thumbnail. But once we removed the hype, something else happened. A handful of surprisingly strong wealth vehicles began quietly rising toward the top. And strangely enough, Many of them weren't exciting at all. Take self-storage. Nobody wakes up on Saturday morning shouting, "I cannot wait to learn about storage units." But that's partly what makes businesses like this interesting. Customers have a simple problem. They own things. They don't have enough space for those things. And once their belongings are inside a storage unit, many customers stay considerably longer than they originally expected. That can create relatively predictable recurring income. Self-storage can also be resilient because the underlying problem isn't particularly fashionable. People simply need space. The obvious disadvantage is capital. Buying land, acquiring an existing facility, developing units, insurance, security, and maintenance can make the barrier to entry substantial. So it's certainly not an opportunity for everyone. But within our framework, the underlying business characteristics are surprisingly strong. Then we looked at laundromats, another business unlikely to impress anyone at a glamorous dinner party. But people keep producing dirty clothes. Very inconsiderate of them, really. And that creates recurring demand. A well-located, well-managed laundromat can produce relatively dependable cash flow for many years. Of course, machines break. Utilities cost money. Locations matter enormously. And this is definitely not income generated by magical washing machines while the owner sleeps forever. But it demonstrates something important. Some of the least exciting businesses can have some of the most attractive economic characteristics. And that's when another pattern emerged. Excitement and profitability aren't the same thing. The opportunity attracting everybody's attention isn't automatically the opportunity creating the most durable wealth. Sometimes the fireworks get all the attention, while the boring little machine in the corner keeps producing cash. So, I went back to the highest-scoring wealth vehicles and asked a different question. Instead of asking what they were, I asked what they had in common. And that's where this investigation became much more useful, because despite being completely different opportunities, the strongest wealth vehicles shared several remarkably similar characteristics. First, they solve real problems. This sounds ridiculously obvious, but it's easy to forget. Businesses don't make money simply because they're clever. They make money because somebody values the outcome enough to pay for it. The more important the problem, and the better your solution, the stronger the opportunity can become. Second, the best wealth vehicles often create recurring demand. Customers return, subscriptions renew, tenants continue paying, storage units remain occupied. Useful content keeps attracting visitors. Predictability matters, because one customer paying repeatedly can be considerably more valuable than constantly searching for the next customer. Third, the strongest wealth vehicles can scale. And this is a crucial distinction. If your income doubles only when your working hours double, you've created income, but you haven't necessarily created leverage. A scalable system allows the value produced to grow faster than the amount of your personal time required. And finally, the best opportunities tend to survive trends. Technology changes, platforms disappear, consumer behavior evolves. Yesterday's fashionable business model becomes tomorrow's documentary about what went wrong. But basic human needs are remarkably stubborn. People need housing, businesses need customers, people need storage, companies need services, people want education, entertainment, convenience, security, and solutions to problems. That durability matters. Using those principles, 5 wealth vehicles consistently stood out from much of what we investigated. And that's where things became genuinely interesting. Because after comparing all 25 opportunities, one category scored particularly well for a very wide range of ordinary people: digital products. Now, before somebody starts designing a PDF tonight and ordering a Lamborghini tomorrow, there's an important caveat. Digital products are not easy money. Creating something people genuinely want can be extremely difficult. You need knowledge, research, useful ideas, good execution, and, crucially, a way of reaching customers. But the economics can be attractive. A physical product has to be manufactured again and again. A digital product can often be created once and delivered repeatedly. An educational resource, a useful template, a specialist guide, a piece of software, a digital tool, a well-designed course. The first customer might require an enormous amount of work, but serving customer number 100 doesn't necessarily require 100 times the effort. And that is leverage. Barry misunderstood this slightly. He skipped the creating part and went directly to waiting for customers. He's still waiting. Surprisingly optimistic, though. But here's the most important conclusion from the entire investigation. The real winner wasn't one particular business, it was a way of thinking. Because once you understand what strong wealth vehicles have in common, you don't need somebody on the internet to tell you which opportunity is hot this month. You can begin evaluating opportunities yourself, and that gives us 4 rules worth remembering. Rule number 1. Wealth usually follows value. Instead of asking, "How can I make money?" try asking, "What valuable problem can I solve?" The bigger and more persistent the problem, the more interesting the opportunity can become. Rule number 2. Build systems, not simply more work for yourself. There's nothing wrong with earning money through your time. That's how most of us begin. But financial freedom becomes much more realistic when some of your income can eventually continue without requiring every hour of your attention. Rule number 3. Don't underestimate boring. Consistency quietly beats excitement far more often than social media would have you believe. A boring business with recurring customers and healthy economics can be far more valuable than an exciting opportunity nobody needs 6 months from now. And finally, rule number 4. Think longer, much longer. Instead of asking, "How quickly can this make money?" ask a different question. Could this still be valuable 10 years from now? Because after investigating 25 wealth vehicles, one conclusion became impossible to ignore. Wealth is usually built patiently, not magically. Barry remains unconvinced. He still dreams about becoming rich overnight. So naturally, he invested his entire lunch break trying to catch money falling from the sky. Results so far? 1 leaf. But this gives you a challenge. For the next week, whenever somebody shows you a new business, side hustle, passive income stream, or incredible opportunity, don't immediately ask how much money it could make. Put it through the wealth framework. What does it cost to start? How long might it realistically take to produce income? Can it scale? Can parts of it eventually be automated? How vulnerable is it to technological or market change? What's the downside? And if it succeeds, does it actually give you more freedom? Those questions won't make every decision easy, but they might help you avoid wasting years chasing the wrong thing. So now I'm curious. Which wealth vehicle surprised you the most? Tell me in the comments. And more importantly, tell me which business, side hustle, investment, or income stream you want us to investigate next. If you enjoy evidence-based wealth investigations without the hype, subscribe, because we're only getting started.